It is Sunday, June 23rd today, and it's Pollination Day. Stay tuned to see an update of the week and to see which plant I am pollinating today. It is Monday, June 17th, and you guessed it, it is raining again here. Not sure if we'll ever dry out, but we still have some hope. I'm by my 1005 Clementz plant right now. I don't remember why this board's here by the crown of the plant, but check out these roots. I'm gonna throw some mycorrhizal inoculant and some azos on them and then cover them up with soil and move this board. It is Wednesday, June 19th. This is my plant at the farm patch. I kind of just gave up on it because it was in standing water, having a lot of issues, but it actually looks like it's starting to take off, and there might be a couple small secondaries starting to grow. So just wanted to show an update of this. I guess I'm going to let it do its thing and see what it can produce. Today is Thursday, June 20th. I'm standing next to my 2501 Bernstrom. Just wanted to give you a quick view of the plant. It's really taken off. Part of the reason I wanted to give you a view right now is it is not raining for once. It is not super windy, and I am ahead of the weeds for probably a day or two. These vines are growing super fast or super aggressive right now. Actually almost, that one secondary right there is almost out of the boundary that I gave it to start with, but I will let it grow into the 1005 Clementz spot since the main vine won't get to that end of the patch for a while. There is the 1005 Clementz. I think it is kicking in a little bit. It is still a lot slower than this 2501 Bernstrom, but I do have a pumpkin. I maybe have showed it before, talked about it, but I do have a pumpkin right there. That is one that I plan to pollinate as long as everything looks good with it. If I had to guess, I'm maybe 14 feet out on the main, which is further than I've been in the past. With the plant growing so aggressive, I have no hesitation pollinating that pumpkin. Here's the backside quick of the 2501 Bernstrom. As you noticed, or may have noticed, I took down the hoops. I will leave these T-posts in because I don't want to disturb the roots with the posts, and just don't want to pull at them at all. So they'll stay in all season. Still need to take the hoops down on the 25 or the 1005 Clementz. Today is Friday, June 21st. We were gone since yesterday afternoon at a campground, and it's like 11 p.m. right now. We just got home, and I just needed to come out here to make sure that none of the pumpkins were going to open. This is the 2501 Bernstrom. It looks like it's probably got a couple days before it's going to open yet. I checked the other plants as well, and none of them are close. None of them are going to open in the morning. That was my biggest concern. It is Saturday, June 22nd. I'm standing in front of my new patch here. If you can see in the background, it looks like we're going to get a little bit more rain here. We've had rain every day this week since the last update, except for I think Wednesday we didn't have rain. So we've had it pretty much every day. I don't even know if in the last month or two if we had more than 2 days in a row without rain. But surprisingly, unless the forecast change, starting after this, whatever we get here, it should be dry the next 5 days. So hoping that stays that way. It could be even more depending on which weather app I look at. So if you notice, you probably won't see it here too much, but I got long sleeves on, I got pants on. It's not because it's cold out. This patch has crazy amounts of little black gnats that bite me every time I go in the patch. So I usually wear, like, sometimes I even have a hooded sweatshirt up because they just bite me like crazy. You could hear the frogs probably in the background just a second ago. I don't know if they're eating them at all, but if they are, they should step up their game and eat a few more. The reason I'm at this plant is because it has a pumpkin that's going to be ready tomorrow. If you can see the plant, it is not as big as I normally would pollinate a plant or a pumpkin on, but it is long enough in my mind. It's not filled out with secondaries. It's because it's so wet. So this really isn't the typical patch, typical plant. Hoping with those 5 days things will dry out, and that I'll pollinate this pumpkin and go forward with it. Potentially we'll see what else comes. If this one looks good and it plant starts taking off, I'll go with it, but otherwise maybe I'll pollinate one here in the near future. It is starting to rain here. I was hoping to do this before it rained, kind of show you the female and what I do to get it ready for pollinating the next day. But I probably will do that in a little bit after it stops raining. One thing I wanted to show you is I have to be super careful on these walking boards. Not so much that one tipped up, but like the next one here and some of those in the wetter spots, if I step on them too quickly, they almost act like skis on water and want to slip out. So I have to be super careful when I step on them. But yeah, you'll notice it's super wet out here. It's been raining almost every day. But so I am going to pollinate this pumpkin with the 2501 Bernstrom. I do have 2 or 3 female flowers that are going to be, or male flowers that are going to be ready tomorrow. If you look right here, there's one right there. But the main reason I'm going to use the 2501 Bernstrom is I grew this plant last year, the 1643 new, and I selfed it. So I don't want to self it again because I have seeds that are selfed. So I want to put that heavy 2501 or big 2501 genetics into this plant. And there's the rain. I'm gonna go inside for now and I'll come back out and film the rest in a little bit. So this is the female on the 1643 new. You can see, for those of you not familiar, you can see that it's gonna open tomorrow. Based on the yellowing color in the leaf, it also softens up some. Before that, the flower on it's fairly hard and green. So that's how you can tell when it's going to open the next morning, so you can cover it so the bugs don't get to it before you pollinate. But I just wanted to show you that. I also mentioned briefly a second ago that I last year selfed the 1643 new. What that means is you take a male flower off the same plant and use it to pollinate the female flower. So that is selfing. I am going to take this and use male flowers from the 2501 Bernstrom and pollinate it. And I'll show that in the morning when I do it. But what I do here is I just take a string. I don't know if you'll see it in the camera at all, but I just take a string. I got this one from one of my daughters. But I'll just tie it around the flower. Sometimes I'll put like a paper bag over top. And I might do that later. It's still raining here and I don't want that to get all wet, but sometimes I'll do it just so the bees get to it in the morning. They won't try to go at the flower. They won't see that yellow flower, so they won't try to go at it if it's covered better. But I'll just take, if you can see this in the camera, I'll just take this on the flower and I'll tie it shut. And then in the morning, I'll actually just tie a knot in it. But in the morning, I'll end up coming out here and I'll gently cut that off. Sometimes I've had problems when I try to take the string off that I'll end up tearing the flower and that's harder to close up afterward, but I'll do my best. So this is the female on the 2501 Bernstrom. If you can see, this one is more green, and I'm not gonna squeeze it, but it's gonna be a little more firm. But this one's not gonna open tomorrow, probably another day. I'll know when I look at it tomorrow night if it's gonna open the following day. So I'm standing at the 2501 Bernstrom. I am using the male flowers from this plant to pollinate the 1643 new. Last night I covered up 5 male flowers off this plant that I'm going to use to pollinate this morning. I already grabbed one of them from further up in the plant, and you'll see how I grabbed the other ones without having to climb into the plant to disturb things. So as you may see here, this one looks like it didn't get tied shut very well. Not sure what I did last night when I was doing it. This one was hard to reach to tie it, but it looks like it opened this morning, so I will not be using this one. So I'll be using 4 male flowers from this plant to pollinate the 1643 new. As I said in the intro to this video, it is Sunday, June 23rd. It's around 54 degrees out right now, and I think it's gonna be a high of about 79. So actually a pretty good day to be pollinating a pumpkin. Not gonna get too hot today. So this is the female on the 1643 new. I'll maybe give you a better shot of it later. I think I gave it a shot of it in my video last night, but I tied it shut last night. And so what I'll do is I'll open up each of the males, and I'll pollinate, and then I'll tie it back shut. So I'm done pollinating this pumpkin, but you can see, hopefully this zooms on it, but you can see all the pollen in there. Here, maybe that's a little bit better. So as you can see, the pumpkin flower is tied up tight again after pollination. I am gonna go get a paper bag from the house and cover it just so the bees and bugs don't see the yellow and try to get through the flower in some way. But tomorrow morning, or tomorrow at some point, I will take the flower all the way off. You won't see that in this update most likely, but maybe the next one. But I only leave the flowers on for like 24 hours. As stated earlier, it is Sunday, June 23rd. I am going to give a plant update for each of the plants right now. This is the 1643 new. You can see I just pollinated it. Plant is not that big, but I'm hoping with the dry weather we have over the next 5 days, and it's gonna be a little bit warmer, that maybe things will dry out and this plant will take off. As you can see here, it is really wet, and I am still pumping a ton of water out of the trench I dug. It's actually filling up so much that it ends up running just downhill on its own outside of the trench because there's so much water. But I'll see, if you can maybe see here, it is just slowly filling up all the time. I am now at the 1005 Clementz plant. As you can see, there is standing water in this patch, in this spot. It's not awful, but it's not great either. This plant is starting to grow slowly. I am expecting with the weather drying out that it'll start soaking up the nutrients that I put in the soil early on when I amended the patch. So I have hope for this one. We'll see what happens. There is a pumpkin. I'll take you over there, hopefully carefully on the boards, but there is a pumpkin towards the end of this vine that I will for sure pollinate. I'm hoping the plant continues to grow pretty quickly once it dries out here. So here's a view of the plant from, I guess, up on the towards the front of the tip side. I will be out here with this plant and the Bernstrom plant doing some vine burying. I am a little bit behind. This one's not growing as fast, but there are some spots that definitely need some vines buried on this one. So I saved the best one for last. You can see there's a couple secondaries there that they're still growing. They're just a little bit behind the ones next to them. But yeah, this is the 2501 Bernstrom. If I had to guess, it's probably 20 feet wide. And I don't know, 15 plus feet long. Over here you can see that need to get caught up on weeding. I weeded 2 or 3 days ago and was way ahead, but now things are they're growing so fast that they're getting into the weeds. This marker right here was, I think about a foot off of where I was gonna stop the plants, or that was my plan for the space that they had, but I'm gonna let it keep growing that direction. Also, that marker was the edge of where I amended, so it's gonna go into soil that wasn't amended. It did get compost, but it wasn't amended with all the stuff I figured in the soil test. As you can see here, this is also wet. This is the least wet patch, but you can see that this board's standing on water. Otherwise, I think the reason this plant's doing so well is I am slightly downhill from the plant. Excuse me. And everything seems to drain down here. The 1005 Clementz plant is on a slope as well, but it seems like a lot of the water is pooling up. Must be a little bit lower on that end, but it does slope down this direction. It's just, it must be getting stuck up there, and it's probably how I got the soil ready early on. So here's the view of the plant, I guess from this side. And I think I showed it last night's video, just the pumpkin that's on this plant. It wasn't quite ready last night. It's gonna be close. It looks like it's starting to get some yellow. It's either gonna be ready in the morning or on Tuesday morning. So I'll keep an eye on it. It's hard to tell. It almost looks like it's getting some yellow color, so I'll watch it throughout the day. But yeah, I got one chair here over the pumpkin and one chair over the tip of the vine. And if you can't tell, or you probably can see it here, that vine is going into the weeds. I'm gonna get caught up on that here in just a few minutes. But I just want to give you an update on the plants. So that's where this video is gonna wrap up. Thank you for following along. Thanks for subscribing. Please share the video with people. Share with your family, share with your friends. Get them to subscribe as well, just so you can see how I grow giant pumpkins and just see the process if you're ever curious and see them at some kind of a way off or festival in the fall. I am super excited for pollination time to get pumpkins growing. Can't wait to see them put on, 50 pounds a day. Thank you.